Sunday, the Monsters of Crash, the Crushers of Crash bring you I don't know. I just always wanted to do the Sunday thing, and I used to do it like at Brendy's back in Lancaster, be like, 5-story car-crunching Carzilla, and then throw things out like, kid seats still just $5, like, kids meet SpongeBob SquarePants, fans meet the Nitro Girls. All this fun monster trucks up Hampton Coliseum. Yeah, anyway, this is Short Time Shots, a comically unfunny wrestling podcast aimed at giving you, the wrestling fan, everything you need to know about the day's happenings in college wrestling. I'm your host, Jason Bryant, and there's something about me you might want to know. November 11th marks the 10-year anniversary of my first ever podcast. That was called Wrestling 411 with my co-host Kyle Klingman, who you hear on the network here with On the Mat. And I'll actually break down that historic show later this month as Kyle and I will talk about the doomed but life-changing project that was Wrestling 411 and its actual impact on wrestling, whether you remember it or not. Speaking of things people would rather not remember, and I'm talking mainly about the people that live in Kent, Ohio, number one, Penn State won its 46th duel in a row as the Nittany Lions blasted Kent State 52-3 at Sold Out Rec Hall. After dropping the first match at 125 pounds, Penn State reeled off 9 straight bonus victories, including just fall after fall after fall after fall, to trounce the Golden Flashes, I might not have even said fall enough times there, who wrestled without returning All-American Kyle Conel at 197. The debut of Roman Bravo Young was sound as the true freshman from Arizona registered his first collegiate fall over Tim Rooney at 133 pounds. Just 2 days earlier, Rooney had lost a tough one to Iowa's Austin DeSanto in a duel at Kent State, the Frenzy at the Fieldhouse. First of all, does Kent State have a death wish? I love Jim Andersey a lot. Just a good staff, good crew of people, but you're going Iowa and Penn State right out of the chute. It's November, man. Ease into it. Anyway, what impressed me the most about Roman Bravo Young was his top work. That boy's good. We like to use that F word a lot around Penn State. Yeah, fun. Love them or hate them, Penn State is freaking so much fun to watch. Probably not that much fun to wrestle. I was watching the duel today on my iPad as I went and picked up lunch for the fan because, as I said, my oldest is sick, and so it's like, all right, it's Sunday. I'm not watching football. I'm watching wrestling. At this point, I've checked out of my fantasy teams, and I'm not a Penn State fan. I'm not a fan of any team. I don't care who wins. I like to see good wrestling, and I'm sitting there like just getting caught up. It's like there's a pin, there's another pin, there's a pin. Like it's the fist pumps, man. It's like, wow, it's just exciting wrestling to watch. Again, that is if you're not a Penn State fan and you're a fan of their rivals, it's probably not much fun to see. But anyway, they really are fun to watch, regardless of who you root for. And I say that as with no dog in the fight. Moving on, number 5, Michigan opened up its dual season and the Sean Bormet era with a 32-12 win over rival Central Michigan up in Mount Pleasant, a result that leaves Blood Rounds Kevin Clonch torn to his core. Big Wolverine bonus wins were registered by Stevan Micic at 133, Kanen Storr at 141, Malik Amine at 149, Logan Massa at 165, and Myles Amine at 174. We did not see Mason Parris at heavyweight, as an FYI, more on that later. No football-like comebacks for Old Dominion on the wrestling mats on Sunday. A day after its football team rallied from a 28-0 deficit to beat North Texas, ODU's wrestling team fell behind 18-0, and it got worse as number 7 Missouri continued its dominance over the Monarchs as the Tigers rolled at the Ted Constant Convocation Center, or as I named it back in my days at college at ODU, the Ted, and beat the Monarchs 40-3 in an early season mat contest. This match saw the most eyes coming at 141 pounds, where a pair of All-Americans tangled, and it was Missouri's Jaden Ironman coming away with a W, pinning the Eastern Michigan transfer Cedarian Perry in 5:05. Mizzou also picked up bonus wins at 125, 133, 165, 174, 197 to roll. Yes, Mizzou pretty much owns Old Dominion. There was one time back at the Northeast Duels where it was like 18-15 or something. It was crazy. The only time it has really ever been close was probably about 10 years ago. And it's been ugly in the last couple of years. They wrestle early, and it's yikes. At the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, big crowd saw number 11 Arizona State top number 19 South Dakota State 30-9 in a dual meet that was the coaching debut at South Dakota State for Damion Hahn. Nothing really unexpected here is the duel's two returning NCAA champions, Seth Gross of South Dakota State and Zaid Valencia of Arizona State, both scored falls for their respective teams. The bout was probably most of interest. Let's try that again. The bout, let's see. I'm not going to edit this tonight. I'm just going to go. The bout that was probably of the most interest, there we go, in terms of a potential toss-up, went Arizona State's way at 149 pounds, where Josh Maruca topped Henry Pohlmeyer 5'3". AFU All-Americans Ryan Milhoff and Josh Shields also won big. Number 24, North Carolina, opened up its season with a 23-win over Chattanooga. The Mocs jumped out to an early 10-0 lead in the coaching debut. There's a theme here for Kyle Rochelle as the Mocs again won the first three weights, highlighted by Chris Debien's 10-5 win over AC Headley, not AC Slater, at 141 pounds. After that, it was all Tar Heels as Coleman Scott's squad swept the last 7 bouts. Buffalo went 3-0 in sweeping a quad hosted by Bucknell on Sunday. The Bulls topped VMI 34-5, Cleveland State 34-6, and host Bucknell 25-12. It wasn't entirely smooth sailing for Coach John Stutzman's team, as Bucknell did steal a few bouts in that duel. At 125 pounds, Geo Barzona knocked off Buffalo's Kyle Akins 5-4, while Bucknell 157-pounder Zach Hartman upended Alex Smythe, who was trending upwards in the eyes of many after his rapid improvement the last offseason. VMI's Neil Richards went 3-0 in his 3 bouts at 174 pounds, the lone bright spot for the Keydets. That's spelled Keydets. Jim Gibson in his first year at the helm in Lexington. In the Big 12, Fresno State cruised by Northern Colorado 34-4 before they headed south down I-25 and were greeted by a less than hospitable Air Force team that wasn't going to let them do the Colorado D1 double. Air Force beat Fresno State 19-15 with that swing victory coming in overtime at 174 pounds, where Air Force's Randy Menaweather beat the Bulldogs Ricky Padilla 3-1, as I said, in overtime in sudden victory. Iowa State opened up its dual slate with, let's try that again. Iowa State opened up its dual slate with a 37-3 win over SIU Edwardsville. Impressive performances turned in by Austin Gomez at 133 as he earned a first period technical foul. Ian Parker and Marcus Coleman added falls for the Cyclones at 141 and 174. In Division II, number 6 Pitt Johnstown topped number 5 Wheeling Jesuit 19-15 in Wheeling. 5th-ranked Levi Niebauer picked up a major decision at 197 pounds to put the bout out of reach for the Mountain Cats and give Coach Pat Pecora, get this, his 583rd dual meet victory as a coach. Yeah, he's been coaching there since Moses was a freshman. Actually, more specifically, Pat Pecora in his 43rd year at UPJ. Central Oklahoma, that's a Division II squad, in case you're wondering, and they're the Broncos, spelled with an H, kind of like spelling Stanley with a C. Yeah, so Central Oklahoma gave up the first and last wins of the duel, but thumped NAIA Oklahoma City 34-6. Oklahoma City head coach Sam Hazwinkle, the dual threat world and Olympic teamer, spent the last 2 seasons prior to his coaching gig at Oklahoma City as an assistant at Central Oklahoma. In Division III, Muhlenberg won the Electric City duels at Scranton, going 4-0. The Mules, yes, the Mules, beat host Scranton, Keystone, Lackawanna, and the club team from Temple. No idea whether or not that you're going to hear any Man in High Castle references at this event. Lackawanna Mine, Camp Anawana. We hold you in a different story entirely. Lackawanna Mine number 9. Don't know what I'm talking about? Watch Season 3 of Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime. This is not a promo. This is not an affiliate code. I don't get anything out of that. I've watched the series, and I'm waiting for Season 4. Going back to New York as the round-robin-style Journeyman Collegiate Classic took place today after the Northeast Duels as we talk tournaments. Some of the top results saw Lehigh's Nick Farrow knock off Oklahoma's Christian Moody 3-2 at 125. Lehigh's Brandon Petzel beat Wyoming All-American Montori Bridges in pool competition, then fell to Purdue's Ben Thornton 5-1 in the final of that particular weight class pairing. Oklahoma's Dom Demas had a solid outing at 141 pounds, beating Lock Haven's Kyle Shoup, Wyoming's Sam Turner, and Purdue's Nate Limix. Not too shabby, especially as he got the fall over Limix at 138. North Carolina State's Justin Oliver topped Davion Jeffries. That guy's still in college? I mean, he was hanging out with Moses back in the day. Anyway, just bad jokes, dad jokes. They're one of the same. Yeah, Oliver beat Jeffrey 7-2 in the A bracket final at 149. West Points, that's Army West Points. Luke Weiland emerged at 157's A bracket. Weiland topped Oklahoma's Justin Thomas 9-0 in the final. Thomas had defeated Appalachian State's Matt Zovatoski and Utah Valley's Grant Lamont in his side of the pools. Lock Haven All-American Chance Marsteller beat Wyoming's Branson Ashworth 7-4 in the A bracket final at 165, while Lehigh's Jordan Cutler beat Purdue's Dylan Leidy 3-1 at 174. NC State's Nick Reenan, glorious hair and all, had his return to folk-style wrestling, a successful one. He made it a successful one, rather. Top Lehigh's Ryan Price 5-1 in the top bracket final at 184. Army West Point's Rocco Kaywood. Hey, Rocco! Had a win over Lehigh's Chris Weiler in the pool competition before knocking off NC State's Malik McDonald 4-2 to claim the crown at 197. Lehigh's Jake Jacobson won the B bracket at that weight class, and 197 shaping up to be a real interesting battle in Bethlehem this year. Lehigh heavyweight Jordan Wood topped Utah Valley's Tate Orndorff 6-0 in the final at 285. Orndorff had a solid 6-5 win over Lock Haven's Thomas Haynes in pool competition. At the Jonathan Caluste Bearcat Open up in Binghamton, where the Bearcats program is celebrating its 50th year as a program, it was the other team from upstate New York, Cornell, that was strong, quite strong. At 133, Chaz Tucker beat Vitaly Aruja 7-5 at an all-Big Red final. What's interesting, though, at 157, this doesn't involve Cornell, but Josh Humphreys of Lehigh came away with 3 falls, a tech, and a major on his way to the title. 2 of those wins were over NCAA qualifiers. Hunter Ladnier of Harvard and Mike D'Angelo, who's currently wrestling unattached for Princeton, probably listed like he was last week at the Princeton Open as the New Jersey or Princeton RTC, one of those two things. Keeping it Ivy, Brown's Jonathan Virouette came away with the championship at 165 pounds. He majored Colston de Blasi of George Mason 11-0 in the finals. NC State's Trent Hidley knocked off All-American Brandon Womack of Cornell in the second round, then beat Penn State's Mason Manville in the semifinals, en route to the title at 174. Pretty good starting weekend for the true freshman. Other notable winners were Brown's Christian Lafregole at 197 and George Mason's Matt Voss at heavyweight. At the Ohio Intercollegiate Open, the Ohio State Buckeyes pretty much dominated the field. There wasn't pretty much about it. It was dominating. Yeah, there were a lot of OSU wrestle-offs, essentially, in the finals. Rather than go through all of them, because there were Buckeyes everywhere, here are the notables. Michael Jordan, top teammate Sammy Sasso, 9-7 in the finals at 149. Keyshawn Hayes won at 157, topping Elijah Cleary 6-5. Cleary had upended Michigan's Will Lewan 3-1 sudden victory in the semifinals. People noticed last week that Lewan beat his teammate Alec Pantelio in the Michigan State Open. He'd also beat him in a wrestle-off. What is it, the distributed property of wrestling? Yeah, Elijah Cleary, national champ. Yeah, something like that. Ethan Smith, top teammate Tishan Campbell, 8-5 at 174. More Ohio State stuff included the titles at 184 with Kevin Hoffman, and then Chase Singletary won at 285. Kevin Snyder won at 197. But back to Singletary, he defeated Mason Parris, as we mentioned earlier, of Michigan in the semis, and beat Division II All-American Cam Teacher of Notre Dame College in the finals. Teacher, 2-time runner-up in Division II. That's really all I got. No real trendy ending or anything like that, other than, yes, this has marked the 10th year, and this is a stupid term, but I'm going to use it anyway, podversary or something. Yeah, 10 years of podcasting, 1,900 episodes distributed, over 1,000 recorded and produced by myself over the past 10 years. You guys are fantastic. It is the feedback I get, and if you're willing to leave feedback, by all means, Jason at BryantWrestling.com, at Jason M. Bryant on Twitter. Rate and review on iTunes or on Stitcher. Excuse me, it's Apple Podcast now. You can't say iTunes, or you're not supposed to say it. But just the feedback's great. The guests are great. I hope you think the content is great. And 10 years of podcasting in the books. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool milestone to hit. A lot of people don't do anything for 10 years. I haven't even had the same job for 10 years. I was looking back at my LinkedIn profile today, and the longest job I had was 8 years at the newspaper. Oh, that was some interest. So I'd like to thank you. If I could thank every single one of you individually, I would. Thank you for spending your time with me, because as I always say, you've always got time for short time. And if you've always got time for short time, you might always have time for a contribution and keep the, I don't want to say lights on, because the lights aren't going to go off. It's just the show might not continue. That's a different story entirely. The show's completely listener supported. MadTalkOnline.com/join the team. If you like what you hear, and I encourage you to tell somebody if they can understand all the knowledge that we drop across every division of college wrestling, because I'm a firm believer that every wrestler in this country matters. Every college wrestler in this country matters. So we do what we can to promote every single level of wrestling That way you are more educated about every single level of wrestling. I'm doing the hard work for you. And if you appreciate that, MadTalkOnline.com/join the team. Small monthly contributions, greatly accepted, appreciated, and you get stuff in return. Again, thank you for spending your time with me. It's been 10 years. It's been 2 years of Short Time Shots. It's been almost 2,000 episodes. Lifetime. Man, that's awesome. Thank you. I'm Jason Bryant. That was Short Time Shots for November 11th, 2018. By the way, if you want to hear some of those old episodes of Wrestling 411, that some of the quality is just so bad, it's on the Mad Talk Online page. Go to madtalkonline.com, scroll down the bottom, click on the Wrestling 411 archive. Every show from that 2008-2009 year, we did 145 episodes. We had a lot of different guests, and it was the first real national wrestling podcast. I mean, there's shows out there that have been around since 2006. I know Matt Slammers has been out there. I mean, there have been radio shows out there longer, but Wrestling 411, and we were on the ground floor as one of the first wrestling podcasts out there, and 10 years. We got a bunch of them there. Thank you. I'm rambling on now, but you guys rock. The Short Time Wrestling Podcast is proudly outfitted by Compound Clothing. Shirts, singlets, custom gear orders, everything you need. Call up Cliff and the crew at cmpteamwear.com. If you've made it this far, I'm guessing you like the show. Well, why don't you subscribe if you haven't done so already by going to madtalkonline.com/listen. That'll give you a list of various different ways that you can subscribe and listen to the show for free, whether it be Apple Podcasts, your Android app. This show has an app for its own self on iOS and Android. And there's a bunch of other places you can find this show by going to madtalkonline.com/listen. That's how you can listen each and every episode. Thanks for listening. Now go subscribe.